The man had a clipboard, a professional camera, and my father was trembling on his own porch. My dad, Gerald Holloway, who once carried a refrigerator up a flight of stairs by himself, was gripping that railing like it was the only thing keeping him standing. His knuckles were white. His jaw was clenched. And he wasn't looking at the stranger photographing every inch of the property. He was looking through the front door. What I saw inside that house made my stomach drop so fast I thought I might be sick. That's when I realized I didn't just build my dad a house. I built him a target. If you've ever been backstabbed by someone closest to you, someone who shares your blood but not your loyalty, and fantasized about the perfect moment when the truth finally comes out, then stay with me. Because what happened at that housewarming isn't just family drama. It's a masterclass in how to protect someone you love from the person who should have loved them most. Let me take you back 4 years. To the day I first realized my dad was losing something. Not his mind. His grip. My name is Lauren Holloway. I'm 34 years old. My brother Ethan left 7 years ago. This is my story. It's a Tuesday evening in late October. I'm standing behind my father in the hallway of the house my mother left behind. The one she kept immaculate for 30 years. The one that's now falling apart at the seams. Peeling wallpaper around the bathroom window, a porch step that dips when you put weight on the left side, a water heater that makes a sound at night like someone knocking from inside the basement. My dad has both hands wrapped around the knob of the kitchen door. A round brass knob. The kind that requires a full grip and a twist. His fingers swell at the joints. His right thumb won't bend past 45 degrees anymore. He pulls. The knob slips. He readjusts. Pulls again. The door doesn't move. I'm 3 steps behind him. Phone in my hand. Pretending to check a text message so he doesn't know I'm watching. Because Gerald Holloway does not ask for help. Not when his truck broke down on Route 9 2 winters ago and he spent 4 hours in freezing temps before a neighbor found him. Not when he carried my mother's casket with a torn rotator cuff and didn't make a single sound. Not now. Not ever. 40 seconds. That's how long it takes him. He finally gets the knob to turn by pressing his palm flat against it and using his forearm for torque. The door swings open. And he walks through like nothing happened. But I saw his jaw clench. I saw the 2 seconds where he closed his eyes. I saw my father, the man who taught me how to check oil, how to swing a hammer, how to stand up for myself, pretending he wasn't losing a war against a door. Mom kept up with all of this. The repairs. The maintenance. The little things that make a house livable. 5 years after her funeral, the house has started forgetting her too. Dad settles into his chair at the kitchen table. Same chair. Same spot. Same mug, the blue one with the chipped handle that Mom bought at a craft fair in 2011. He wraps both hands around it carefully. Like he's holding something alive. That was the first time I understood something I'd been avoiding for years. My father didn't need someone to take care of him. He needed a house that wouldn't fight him every time he tried to live in it. I should tell you about Ethan. My brother is 4 years younger than me. When we were kids, he was the spark. The one who could make Dad laugh, really laugh, the kind where his shoulders shook and he'd slap the table. I was the responsible one. The one who reconciled Mom's checkbook when I was 14. The one who made sure bills got paid and appointments got scheduled. Ethan was the one everyone remembered. He left 7 years ago. The fight was about Mom's house. This house. Mom had been gone for 2 years by then. I wanted to keep it for Dad. Ethan wanted to sell. Split the money. Use his share for a tech company he was launching with a college friend. Dad sided with me. Or maybe Dad just didn't want to leave the only home he'd ever shared with Mom. Ethan took it personally. He said things at the kitchen table that I've never repeated, words that landed like hammer strikes, each one designed to hurt the most. He packed a bag that night and drove to Nashville. The calls came less and less. Once a month, then once a quarter, then just a text on Dad's birthday. sometimes on the right day, sometimes a day late. But here's the thing about Gerald Holloway. Every single time I come through that front door, he asks the same question. Every time. Has your brother called you? And every time I give the same answer. Not yet, Dad. He keeps a photo of Ethan on the refrigerator, pinned with a magnet from a bait shop we used to visit when Ethan was 10. Ethan in a baseball cap, holding up a bluegill, grinning like the world owed him nothing. Dad never takes it down. Never moves it. If I bring groceries and the magnet shifts, he fixes it before he puts anything away. I didn't know then what 7 years of silence actually meant. I thought it meant Ethan had moved on, found a new life, made peace with leaving us behind. It didn't mean he'd forgotten about this family. It meant he was waiting for something worth coming back for. I make decent money. Not great money. I'm a CPA at a regional firm in Hadley, the kind of place where everyone knows your car in the parking lot. But I've been there 11 years. I know how to stretch a dollar. And more importantly, I know how to build a plan with a 4-year horizon. Year 1, I cut my rent by moving into a smaller apartment. Sold my Camry, bought a 9-year-old Civic with cash. Started picking up freelance tax clients during filing season. Small businesses, sole proprietors, the kind of returns nobody at the firm wants. I ate a lot of rice and beans. I stopped buying coffee out. I told myself every single sacrifice was temporary. Year 2, I found the lot. 2 acres on Teller Lake. 20 minutes from my apartment. Quiet road. No HOA. The previous owner had cleared the land for a cabin that never got built. I stood in the middle of that clearing and imagined my father sitting on a porch, looking at water, not fighting a doorknob. Year 3, construction. But not just any construction. I spent 4 months researching universal design before I ever talked to a contractor. Lever handles on every door. You push down with one finger, it opens. No steps at any entrance, just gentle ramps with non-slip composite. Grab bars in the bathroom that look like towel racks, because my father would never use something that looked like hospital equipment. A kitchen with pull-out shelves and countertops at 2 heights. And in the back, a small workshop. A proper woodworking bench set at standing height so he wouldn't have to bend. Pegboard walls for his tools. Good light, a south-facing window over the lake. Because Gerald Holloway was a carpenter for 41 years. He built other people's kitchens, their decks, their bookshelves. His hands might shake now, but the knowledge in them is still there. I wasn't going to take that from him by putting him somewhere with fluorescent lights and a shared TV room. Year 4, I finished. And I didn't tell Dad any of it. Not because I wanted a surprise. Because I knew he'd refuse. Gerald Holloway doesn't take gifts. Not from anyone. Not even from his daughter. The day I brought him out to Teller Lake, I told him we were going to look at a property for a client. He rode shotgun, one hand on the dashboard out of habit, the way he always rides. When we pulled up, he looked at the house and said nothing. He got out slowly. Walked up the ramp to the front porch. Ran his hand along the railing, cedar, sanded smooth, the kind of wood he'd know by feel. He went to the front door. Reached for the handle. A lever. He pressed down with his palm. The door swung open without resistance. 1 hand. 1 second. He stopped. Then he walked the entire house without saying a word. Opened every cabinet. Tested the pull-out shelves. Turned the faucet on and off. Went into the bathroom and touched the grab bars like he was checking if they'd hold. When he reached the workshop, he stood in the doorway for a long time. The tools were hung on pegboard, his chisel set, his block planes, his marking gauge. I'd taken them from the old house while he was at a doctor's appointment. The bench was maple, 3 inches thick, set at exactly 36 inches. Good light from that south-facing window. He turned around and looked at me. His eyes were wet. But he didn't cry. Gerald Holloway doesn't cry. You did this. I nodded. He put his hand on my shoulder. And I realized his hand wasn't shaking. For the first time all day, his hand was completely still. That was 2 months ago. 2 months before I drove up and saw my father trembling on his own porch. 3 weeks after Dad moves in, I take him for a routine checkup at the Hadley Medical Group. Dr. Simmons is thorough. Blood panel. Joint assessment. The usual. Dad sits on the exam table in a flannel shirt and jeans, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. "Mr. Holloway, your joints are stable," Dr. Simmons says, flipping through the chart. "The inflammation markers haven't increased since last quarter. You're managing well." Dad straightens up a little. He likes that word. Managing. "Independent living is feasible," Dr. Simmons continues, "as long as the accommodations stay appropriate. The house modifications you described are exactly what I'd recommend." He writes it in the chart. I know because I watch him write it. After the appointment, I take a photo of the summary sheet the nurse prints out. Force of habit. I'm a CPA. I photograph every document that matters: bank statements, tax filings, medical records. My phone is an archive. Dad's walking better since the move. The flat floors help. The lever handles mean he's not fighting doors 6 times a day. He told me last week that he made a birdhouse in the workshop. His first project in almost 2 years. Small. A little rough at the joints. But finished. He eats 3 meals a day. He walks down to the lake in the mornings when the weather allows. He's not recovering. The arthritis is progressive and we both know it. But he's living. There's a difference between a body that's declining and a life that's shrinking. And for the first time in years, my father's life is getting bigger. I drive home that evening feeling something I haven't felt in a long time. Peace. It lasts exactly 18 days. Here's something I need you to understand about the lake house. It's in Dad's name. Not mine. Not jointly. His name, his property, his deed. I did that on purpose. I could have kept myself on the title. My lawyer suggested it, actually, as a basic asset protection measure. But I thought about the way Dad looked when he opened that front door. The lever handle. The 1-second motion. The way his shoulders dropped like he'd set something heavy down. Gerald Holloway has spent his entire life being told what to do. By foremen. By clients. By the VA when he came back from the service. By doctors who talked about him in the third person while he sat right there. My mother was the only person who ever treated him like a full human being. After she died, the world went back to managing him. I wasn't going to build him a house and then hold the leash. So the deed is his. Which means if anyone convinces him to sell that property, I lose every dollar I put into it. $325,000. 4 years of savings, freelance work, and a lifestyle I stripped down to the studs. No legal recourse. No lien. No fallback. I knew the risk when I made that choice. I accepted it because the whole point was that the house was his. But there's one thing I didn't account for. When Dad was 64 7 years ago, he opened a savings account at First Federal. He added Ethan's name to it. A joint account. For emergencies. In case something happens to me, he told Ethan. You can access the money right away. Ethan was 23. He'd just gotten his first apartment in Nashville. Dad never closed that account. And neither did Ethan. I check Dad's bank statements on the 1st of every month. Same routine I use for my clients. Download. Review. Flag anything unusual. Most months, it's groceries, a hardware store charge, his Medicare supplement. Clean and predictable, the way a retired carpenter's finances should look. On a Thursday morning in April, I open the statement and stop scrolling. A withdrawal. $2,800. An ATM in downtown Nashville. Dad hasn't been to Nashville in over a decade. He doesn't travel. He barely drives past the county line. I call him that afternoon. Dad, did you take any money out of your savings recently? A large amount. Silence. Then, no. How much? $2,800. I didn't take out any money, Lauren. He sounds confused. Not scared. Confused. Like someone just told him a fact about his own life that doesn't match his memory. I pull up the account details that evening. The withdrawal was made using a debit card linked to the joint account at First Federal. The one with 2 names on it. Gerald Holloway and Ethan Holloway. I sit at my kitchen table for a long time. The math is simple. There's only one other person with access to that account. And he lives in Nashville. I pick up my phone and call a number I haven't dialed in years. My brother's cell, the old one, the only one I have. I expect voicemail. I expect a disconnected number recording. I expect dead air. He picks up on the first ring. Lauren. His voice is warm. Immediate. Like he's been sitting by the phone. Oh my God, I was just thinking about you. My chest goes tight. Because in 11 years as an accountant, I've learned one thing. When the numbers don't add up, the story someone tells you next matters more than anything. Ethan, it's been a while. Too long. Way too long. How's Dad? He asks about Dad first. That's deliberate. I know it's deliberate because Ethan has always been good at steering a conversation before the other person gets their footing. I don't let him. There's a $2,800 withdrawal from Dad's savings. An ATM in Nashville. 3 days ago. The pause is short. Half a second. Most people wouldn't notice. Oh yeah. Dad said I could use it. I'm in kind of a tough spot right now, Lauren. Between things. Dad says he didn't authorize it. Longer pause this time. I hear him shift, maybe a chair, maybe a couch. He forgets things, Lauren. You know that. His mind is fine, Ethan. I'm just saying he's 71. Things slip. I took him to the doctor 3 weeks ago. Cognitive function is normal. It's in the chart. Another pause. I can hear him recalculating. That's the thing about Ethan. When one angle doesn't work, he doesn't push. He pivots. Look, he says, and his voice softens. I know this looks bad, but I'm actually planning to come visit. I want to see the house. I miss Dad. You miss Dad? I do. I really do. I've been thinking about it a lot lately. Getting older, you know. Priorities change. He sounds sincere. That's what makes Ethan dangerous. Not that he lies, but that he believes himself while he's doing it. When? I ask. This weekend, actually. I was going to call you. Is that the housewarming thing? Dad mentioned it. My stomach tightens. Dad told him about the housewarming. Which means they've been talking. Which means this call isn't the beginning of something. It's the middle. I'm his son too, Lauren. Or did you forget that? I hang up without answering. I drive to the lake house the next morning. Dad's on the porch drinking coffee. The mug is a new one, ceramic, wide handle, easy grip. He bought it himself at the hardware store in town. Dad, I talked to Ethan last night. He sets the mug down. And there it is. A smile I haven't seen since the day he walked into the workshop. Wide open. The kind of smile that comes from a part of him I can't reach. He's coming home. His voice cracks on the word home. Not from weakness. From want. He says he's coming for the housewarming. Good. That's good. He picks the mug back up. His hands are shaking, but this time it's not the arthritis. It'll be good to have both my kids in the same room. I sit on the porch step and look at the lake. There's a heron standing in the shallows, perfectly still, waiting for something underneath the surface. Part of me wants to tell Dad everything. The withdrawal. The way Ethan's voice shifted 3 times in a 4-minute call. The fact that he knew about the housewarming before I mentioned it, which means they've been in contact and neither of them told me. But I look at my father's face. And I can't. Not yet. And then a worse thought creeps in. One I don't want to admit. Am I protecting Dad? Or am I protecting my position? Because if Ethan comes back and Dad welcomes him, what does that make the last 7 years? Of me showing up. driving 40 minutes round trip, checking bank statements, coordinating doctors, being the one who stayed. Was I the devoted daughter? Or was I just the one who couldn't leave? Ethan said he's coming alone. He said it twice, actually, which is one time too many for a statement that should be simple. Saturday morning. Housewarming day. I pull up to the lake house at 8:15 with a trunk full of folding chairs and a sheet cake from the bakery on Main. Ethan's rental car is already in the driveway, gray sedan, Tennessee plates. And parked behind it, a white SUV I don't recognize. I get out. A man is walking the perimeter of the house with a camera. Not a phone camera, a professional DSLR with a wide-angle lens. He's taking photos of the siding, the roof line, the foundation. He has a clipboard tucked under his arm with a printed form attached. On the porch, Dad stands with both hands on the railing. His knuckles are white. He's watching the man the way you watch a dog you're not sure about. Dad. I take the steps 2 at a time. Who is that? He shakes his head slowly. Ethan said he's a friend. But he keeps taking pictures. I look at the clipboard from 10 feet away. I don't need to get closer. The form has a header, a grid for measurements, a signature block at the bottom. I've processed hundreds of these at the firm. It's a residential appraisal worksheet. I turn to look at the man. He's crouching near the foundation, angling the camera upward. Professional. Methodical. He's not here to visit. Stay here, Dad. Lauren, just stay here. I walk through the front door. The lever handle gives without resistance. Inside, the house smells like coffee and cedar. Dad's been up for hours. And there he is. Ethan sits at the kitchen table. He's thinner than I remember. A button-down shirt, sleeves rolled up, trying to look casual. In front of him, a manila folder, a brochure, and 3 documents fanned out like a hand of cards. He looks up. Hey, sis. Long time. I don't sit down. My eyes go straight to the documents. The first is a pre-printed form with a state seal at the top. A petition for guardianship. The second is a durable power of attorney template. Blank signature lines at the bottom. The third is a glossy brochure. Maplewood Senior Living, Nashville, Tennessee. The cover photo shows a white-haired woman laughing near a window. It looks like a hotel. It's not. Sit down, Ethan says. We need to talk about Dad's future. We. I stay standing. You haven't called him more than 4 times a year in 7 years. That's exactly why I'm here now. I've had time to think. Think about what exactly? He leans back, folds his arms. Lauren, I love Dad. But I've been watching from a distance and I'm worried. This house is beautiful, really, it is. But he's 71. He's alone out here. What happens when he falls and nobody's around? I'm 20 minutes away. And what about at night? At 2 in the morning. He says it gently, like a concerned professional giving a difficult recommendation. I've seen this posture before in clients who come into my office with a story that doesn't match their spreadsheets. What's in the folder, Ethan? He slides it across the table. Just some options. Maplewood is a great facility. I toured it myself. He'd have round-the-clock care. A community. Activities. You toured a nursing home for Dad without telling either of us? I wanted to have all the information before I brought it up. And the man outside taking pictures of the house? Ethan's expression doesn't change. He's just a friend. He's holding an appraisal form. The room goes quiet. Through the kitchen window, I can see Dad on the porch, still gripping the railing. Ethan holds my stare. Then he says something that turns the floor under my feet to ice. I talked to Dad last night for over an hour. He's more open to this than you think. I walk to the porch. Dad is still standing at the railing, staring at the lake. The appraiser has moved to the back of the house. Dad. I keep my voice level. Do you want to go to a nursing home? He doesn't answer right away. His fingers flex on the railing. Open. Close. Open. Ethan says if I stay here, you'll wear yourself out. He's not looking at me. He says you're exhausted. That you're doing too much. I feel something crack inside my chest. Not anger. Recognition. Because I understand now what Ethan did. He didn't threaten Dad. He didn't raise his voice or make demands. He did something worse. He used Dad's love for me as leverage. He told a 71-year-old man with more pride than anyone I've ever known that his daughter was suffering because of him. That every drive I made, every bank statement I checked, every doctor's appointment I scheduled, was draining me. That the best thing Gerald Holloway could do for his little girl was to leave this house and let professionals handle it. Ethan weaponized my father's selflessness. Dad, I'm not exhausted. You work full-time. You come here 3 times a week. That's a lot. It's not a burden. Ethan says. I don't care what Ethan says. My voice is harder than I intend. I catch it. Pull it back. Dad, look at me. He turns. His eyes are red. Not from crying. From not sleeping. Ethan kept him up last night. Do you want to leave this house? He looks past me through the open door. Toward the workshop at the end of the hallway. I watch his gaze land on the pegboard wall where his tools hang in a row. No, he says quietly. But I don't want to be the reason you can't live your life. Behind us, car doors start closing in the driveway. The housewarming guests are arriving. I'm standing in my father's kitchen, staring at a stack of guardianship papers I didn't know existed until 5 minutes ago. My brother is sitting at the table like he owns the place. And guests are pulling into the driveway right now. I tell Dad to go inside and sit down. That I need to get the chairs from my car. He nods and shuffles through the door. His shoulders are lower than they were an hour ago. In the car, I don't touch the chairs. I open my banking app. Dad's joint account at First Federal. I have read-only access because I set up his online profile 2 years ago. The transaction history loads in seconds. The $2,800 I already knew about. But now there are 3 more. $1,000. 6 days ago. $1,800. 4 days ago. $1,300. 2 days ago. All ATM withdrawals. All Nashville. Total in 3 weeks, $6,900. I screenshot every transaction. Open my email. Forward them to myself. Time-stamped backup. Then I scroll further. And that's when I find the email. Dad forwarded it to me last week. I'd been slammed with a client deadline and hadn't opened it. His message just said, "Sweetheart, what is this? I don't understand." The attachment is an email from someone named Nolan Voss to Ethan Holloway. Subject line, appraisal appointment confirmed. Mr. Holloway, confirming residential appraisal for the property at 14 Teller Lake Road, Saturday, April 19th at 8 a.m. Deposit received. Client, Ethan Holloway. I read it 3 times. Ethan paid a deposit for a property appraisal on Dad's house. And he paid for it using Dad's money. The first withdrawal, the $2,800, lines up exactly with a standard appraisal deposit plus a legal consultation fee. He used Dad's savings to fund the first step of selling Dad's house. The house I built. The house I put in Dad's name because I trusted that his name meant something. My hands are steady. My voice when it comes is quiet. Okay. By noon, there are about 15 people in the house. Neighbors from the Lake Road. A couple of Dad's old friends from the carpentry union. Diane Marsh brought a casserole and a bottle of wine. Tom Fielding from 2 lots over is telling Dad about a bass he caught last Tuesday. And Ethan is working the room. I watch him from the kitchen doorway with a plate of crackers I'm not eating. He moves between groups effortlessly. Handshake here. A laugh there. A hand on someone's shoulder. He's wearing a blue button-down that makes his eyes look earnest. He crouches next to Dad's chair and says something that makes Dad chuckle. Then he finds Diane. "Mrs. Marsh, it's been so long. You look exactly the same." Diane blushes. She and Mom were close. Ethan knows this. "I'm just so glad to be back," he tells her, loud enough for the 3 people nearby to hear. "I've been worried about Dad living alone out here. Lauren's been incredible, she really has. But she works full-time. I keep thinking, what if something happens at night? What if he falls and there's nobody here?" Diane frowns, nods slowly. "I've wondered about that myself. That's all I want. Just to make sure he's safe. Whatever that looks like." He's building a story. I can see it taking shape in real time. The devoted son who came home. The practical concerns. The gentle worry. By the time he's done with Diane, he'll have 3 or 4 people in this room nodding along. And the worst part? Every word he's saying sounds reasonable. To anyone who doesn't know about the appraisal, the guardianship papers, or the $6,900 missing from Dad's account, Ethan Holloway looks like exactly what he's pretending to be. A good son who finally came home. It happens at 1:15. The room is full. Plates on laps. Conversations overlapping. Dad is in his chair by the window, telling Tom Fielding about a walnut desk he built in 1996. Ethan crosses the room carrying a glass pitcher. The heavy one. Ceramic. Probably 3 pounds full. He holds it out to Dad. "Dad, can you pour some water for Mrs. Marsh?" I watch from across the room. My plate goes still in my hands. Dad takes the pitcher. He wraps both hands around the handle. His knuckles swell. His fingers adjust. And the weight pulls his wrist sideways. Water splashes. A thin stream misses the glass entirely and runs across the table. "Oh, here, Dad. Let me." Ethan takes it back immediately. Smooth. Practiced. He grabs a napkin, wipes the table. "It's okay. No worries." But the damage is done. 3 people saw it. Diane Marsh presses her lips together. Tom Fielding looks at his shoes. "See?" Ethan says to Diane, soft enough to sound private but loud enough for the people nearby. "This is what I mean." He's struggling. Dad stares at the wet spot on the table. His jaw is tight. I know what Ethan just did. There are 6 cups in that kitchen. 4 of them are lightweight plastic. I bought them specifically for Dad. The ceramic pitcher is the heaviest thing in the cabinet. You'd need a full grip and a steady wrist to pour from it. Dad can pour from a bottle. From a carafe. From any of the lightweight containers I stocked this kitchen with. Ethan chose the one thing that would make him fail. He handed Dad the heaviest pitcher in the kitchen. And he did it in front of everyone. Diane whispers to the woman beside her. "Poor Gerald." 15 minutes later, Ethan corners me by the kitchen counter. He keeps his voice at that perfect volume. Conversational enough to seem natural, loud enough that the 4 people at the dining table can hear every word. "Lauren, can I be honest with you?" "Go ahead." "I think you built this house for yourself. Not for Dad." The room doesn't go silent all at once. It fades. One conversation drops. Then another. Then a third. By the time Ethan finishes his next sentence, I can hear the clock on the wall. "You want to feel like a good daughter. I understand that, I really do. But Dad needs professionals. Medical staff. People who are trained for this. Not a house with wide doorknobs and a workshop." My throat tightens. 'Cause he just put his finger on the one thing that keeps me up at night. The possibility that this house, the 4 years I spent building it, the $325,000, was never about Dad. That it was about me needing to believe I was enough. I look at Dad. He's looking at his hands. He doesn't speak. Ray Clemens, Dad's oldest friend from the union, shifts in his seat. He's watching Ethan with his arms folded. But he doesn't say anything. Nobody does. "You're doing your best," Ethan says. "But sometimes love isn't enough to keep someone safe." He says it like a eulogy. Like the decision has already been made and we're just catching up to it. And I can feel the room tilting. Not toward me. Toward him. Because Ethan isn't wrong about the risks. He's wrong about the solution and the motive. But the risks are real. And everyone in this room is old enough to know it. My father still hasn't said a word. Ethan doesn't wait. He goes to the table, opens the manila folder, and spreads the documents out like a contractor showing blueprints. Dad, I spoke to an attorney in Nashville. It's straightforward. He taps the guardianship petition. You sign this, and I take over medical and financial decisions. It protects you. And it protects Lauren from burning out. He slides a pen across the table. A nice pen. Silver. Heavy. He brought it with him. Maplewood is 20 minutes from my apartment. I'd visit every day. They have a woodworking program. A garden. It's not what you think. Dad picks up the pen. His fingers curl around it slowly. I can see the tremor in his index finger. Diane leans forward from her chair. Maybe Gerald should take some time to think about this. It's a big decision. Ethan turns to her. His smile doesn't change, but something behind it does. With all due respect, Mrs. Marsh, this is a family matter. The room goes cold. Diane sits back. Her mouth is a line. Dad holds the pen over the signature block. His hand hovers. He looks at Ethan, who nods encouragingly the way you nod at a child learning to write. Then he looks at me. I don't know what's in my face. I'm trying to keep it neutral. Trying not to look like I'm begging. Dad sets the pen down on the paper. The tip rests against the signature line. He hasn't signed, but he hasn't put the pen away. The room is watching. 15 people. Some are holding plates. Some have forgotten their plates entirely. Ethan says, "Whenever you're ready, Dad." And my father, Gerald Holloway, who once carried a refrigerator up a flight of stairs by himself, looks at that signature line like it weighs more than anything he's ever lifted. I stare at the pen on the paper, and something inside me fractures. Maybe Ethan is right. The thought arrives fully formed, uninvited, and it sits in my chest like a stone. Maybe I did build this house for me. Maybe every lever handle and grab bar was just a way to prove to myself that I was the good one. The responsible one. The daughter who stayed. Maybe the house is a monument to my own need to be needed. I look at Dad's hands on the table. They're shaking. The tremor hasn't stopped since Ethan handed him that picture. And for one terrible second, I think, what if he can't live here? What if I'm the one who can't let go? Then Dad's eyes drift away from the pen. Away from Ethan. Through the kitchen window. Past the living room. Down the hall. To the workshop. I follow his gaze. The door is open. From here, I can see the pegboard wall. The chisels. The hand planes. The marking gauge. The maple bench under the south-facing window. And I remember the day Dad walked into that workshop for the first time. His hands stopped shaking. Not a little. Completely. He picked up a block plane and held it the way a musician holds an instrument they haven't touched in years. His shoulders dropped. His breathing changed. This house isn't about me. I know that because his hands told me. I look at the pen. At Dad's fingers, curled and swollen, resting on the table. Then I look at Ethan. He's watching Dad with the patience of someone who's already counted the money. I take a breath. I'm not going to yell. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to beg. I'm going to do what I do best. I'm going to show the math. Dad. My voice is steady. I'm surprised by how steady. Don't sign anything yet. Give me 10 minutes. Ethan's jaw tightens. Lauren, come on. Don't drag this out. 10 minutes. That's all I'm asking. I hold Dad's eyes until he nods. Then I walk out the front door. Past the guests on the porch. Past Nolan Voss loading his camera equipment into the white SUV. I stop at the edge of the driveway and dial a number. Janet Perkins picks up on the second ring. I contacted Janet 3 weeks ago. The same week I found the $2,800 withdrawal. She's an elder law attorney in the next county. I found her through a colleague at the firm. I told her the situation. She told me to document everything and call her if it escalated. Janet, it's Lauren Holloway. I'm at my father's house. My brother is here with guardianship papers. He's trying to get my father to sign right now. Is your father competent? Fully. Doctor's report from 3 weeks ago confirms it. Then the petition has no legal standing unless a court determines otherwise. Has he signed? Not yet. Is anyone else present? About 15 people. It's a housewarming. Brief pause. Can you put me on speaker? That's why I'm calling. Lauren, one more thing. The withdrawals you told me about. If your father did not consent to those transactions, that could constitute elder financial exploitation under your state's code. I want you to know that before you walk back in. I understand. I'm ready when you are. I hang up. Stand in the driveway for 5 seconds. The lake is flat and still behind the house. A single heron lifts off the water and disappears over the treeline. I walk back inside. Every head turns. Dad is still at the table. The pen is still on the paper. He hasn't signed. I set my phone on the table. Face up. Before anyone signs anything, I say, I want to show you what I found. The room rearranges. People shift in their seats. Diane Marsh stands up from the couch and moves closer. Ray Clemens uncrosses his arms. I open the screenshots. Swipe to the first one. This is Dad's joint savings account at First Federal. In the past 3 weeks, there have been 4 withdrawals totaling $6,900. All from ATMs in Nashville. I set the phone down so anyone nearby can see the screen. The numbers are clear. Dates. Amounts. Locations. Dad. I look at him. Did you authorize any of these withdrawals? No. The word lands like a dropped glass. Small. Final. Ethan shifts in his chair. It's a joint account, Lauren. I have access. That's how joint accounts work. You're right. It is a joint account. One that Dad set up when you were 23. For emergencies. I swipe to the next screenshot. But this isn't an emergency. This is an email from Nolan Voss, the man who was outside this morning taking pictures, to you, confirming a residential appraisal on this property. I turn the phone so the room can see the subject line. Appraisal appointment confirmed. Client, Ethan Holloway. You ordered an appraisal on Dad's house without Dad's knowledge. And you paid for it, the deposit, the legal consultation, using money from his account. Silence. The kind where you can hear people breathing. Ethan's composure holds, but barely. A muscle in his jaw moves. I was trying to understand the financial picture. There's nothing wrong with, you didn't come home for Dad. I keep my voice flat. No heat. Just facts. You came home for the house. Diane Marsh turns to look at Ethan. Her expression has completely changed. Ethan stands up. His chair scrapes the floor. The sound is too loud in the quiet room. This is ridiculous. His voice has an edge now. The smooth warmth is burning off like fog. I came here to help. I came here because I'm worried about our father. And instead of having a conversation, you're what? Auditing me in front of the neighbors. I'm showing what I found. That's all. You don't know what I've been going through. You have no idea. I know you haven't been here. I don't raise my voice. I know you don't know his doctor's name. I know you don't know what medications he takes. Or that he eats oatmeal every morning because it's easy on his stomach. Or that he walks to the lake at 7:15 when the weather's good. I know these things because I've been here. Every week. For 7 years. Diane steps forward. Her voice is different now. Not sympathetic. Not uncertain. Direct. Ethan, is that true? You ordered an appraisal on this house. It's not. This is none of your business, Mrs. Marsh. Gerald is my neighbor. She doesn't blink. He has been my neighbor since your mother was alive. That makes it my business. Murmurs ripple through the room. Tom Fielding shakes his head slowly. A woman near the back, one of the Lake Road neighbors, puts her plate down and crosses her arms. Ethan scans the room, looking for allies. A nod. A sympathetic face. Someone who understands. He doesn't find one. This is between me and my family, he says. But his voice has thinned. The confidence is leaking out of it. Dad hasn't moved. He's sitting at the table with his hands flat on the surface. But the pen, the silver pen Ethan placed so carefully, is no longer touching the signature line. Gerald pushed it to the edge of the table. I don't know when. But it's there. I pick up my phone. Dad, there's someone I want you to hear. I dial Janet Perkins and press the speaker icon. The ring fills the room. 1 ring. 2. Click. This is Janet Perkins. Janet, it's Lauren. I'm here with my father and the rest of the family. You're on speaker. Understood. I set the phone on the table between the guardianship papers and the nursing home brochure. Mr. Holloway, Janet says. Her voice is clear and warm, the voice of someone who does this for a living and does it well. I'm an elder law attorney. Your daughter asked me to be available today. I want to ask you one question. Do you want to sign the guardianship petition in front of you? Dad looks at the phone. Then at me. Then at Ethan. No, ma'am. Then no one, including your son, can compel you to sign. Your most recent medical evaluation indicates you are cognitively competent. A guardianship petition requires a court determination of incapacity. Based on what I've reviewed, that determination would not be granted. Ethan's face loses a shade of color. He opens his mouth. I'd also like to address the financial activity, Janet continues. Mr. Holloway, your daughter provided me with bank records showing approximately $6,900 in withdrawals from your joint account over the past 3 weeks. You've stated you did not authorize these transactions. Under your state's Elder Financial Exploitation Statute, unauthorized use of a vulnerable adult's funds by a person in a position of trust may carry both civil and criminal liability. The room is stone. Ethan's hands are in his lap now. His left knee is bouncing. This is a setup, he says. Lauren planned all of this. Janet's voice doesn't change. Mr. Holloway, your daughter didn't plan anything. She asked a legal question. I gave a legal answer. Dad is looking at Ethan. And for the first time today, his eyes aren't confused. They aren't sad. They're clear. Gerald Holloway pushes his chair back. The legs drag against the hardwood floor. The sound silences everything. The last murmur. The last shuffle. The last held breath. He stands up. Nobody helps him. Nobody reaches for his arm. He rises the way he's risen from every chair for 71 years. Slowly. With intention. On his own terms. He looks at Ethan. I kept your picture on the refrigerator. His voice is low. Rough. The voice of a man who's been quiet all day and is done being quiet for 7 years. Every time your sister walked through that door, I asked if you'd called. Every time. Ethan opens his mouth. Nothing comes out. You come back after 7 years. And the first thing you do. Gerald pauses. His hand grips the edge of the table, not because he's unsteady, but because he's holding himself in place. The first thing you do is bring a man to take pictures of my house. To put a price on it. To put a price on me. Dad, I'm not done. The room goes still. Diane has a hand over her mouth. Tom Fielding is staring at the floor. Ray Clemens is staring at Ethan. Gerald lifts his hand from the table and holds it out. It shakes. The tremor is visible to everyone in the room. He looks at it. Really looks at it. Then he looks back at his son. My hands shake. My knees hurt when it rains. Some mornings it takes me 10 minutes to get out of bed. He lowers his hand. But my mind is mine. And this house, his voice cracks. He doesn't stop. This house is the first place in years where I feel like myself. He turns to me. His eyes are wet. You didn't build this for you. I know that. I've always known that. Then he turns back to Ethan. I want your name off my account. Today. Dad and I are at First Federal by 3 o'clock that afternoon. The branch is open until 4 on Saturdays. The woman at the service desk recognizes Gerald. He's been banking here for 23 years. I need to remove a name from my joint savings account, Dad says. He's sitting upright in the chair across from her desk. His voice is clear. I'll need the name you'd like removed. Ethan Holloway. She types. Pulls up the account. Prints a form. Dad signs it slowly, carefully, with the same pen he uses for everything. His name in blue ink, all capitals, the way carpenters label things. The remaining balance, just under $12,000 after Ethan's withdrawals, transfers into a new individual account in Gerald's name alone. The old joint account closes. The debit card linked to Ethan is deactivated immediately. In the car on the way home, I make one more call. Nolan Voss, the appraiser. Mr. Voss, this is Lauren Holloway. I'm Gerald Holloway's daughter. The property at 14 Teller Lake Road. Yes, I was there this morning. The person who hired you, Ethan Holloway, is not the property owner. My father is. And my father did not authorize the appraisal. Silence. Then, I was told it was a family matter. That the son was handling it. He's not. The appraisal is canceled. Understood. I'll void the report. No additional charges. Thank you. I hang up. Dad is looking out the passenger window at the lake. The surface is still. Late afternoon light turns the water copper. Are you going to press charges? I ask. I have to ask. Dad doesn't turn from the window. He's still my son. I nod. I expected that. Janet Perkins keeps the file. The documentation stays. If Ethan tries anything again, the record is there. But today, Dad chose his house. And that's enough. By the time we get back to the lake house, the guests are gone. Plates are stacked in the kitchen. Someone, probably Diane, washed the serving dishes and left them drying on a towel by the sink. Ethan is on the porch. He's sitting in one of the folding chairs I brought this morning, smoking a cigarette. I didn't know he smoked. Dad goes inside without looking at him. The front door closes. The lever handle clicks softly. I stand at the bottom of the porch steps. How much do you owe? Ethan doesn't look at me. He takes a drag. Exhales toward the lake. The smoke hangs in the still air. $47,000. So you came here to sell a $325,000 house to pay off a $47,000 debt. He doesn't answer for a long time. Then, the startup was supposed to work. It was a good idea. The investors pulled out. The partner bailed. I was on the hook for everything. And Dad's house was the easiest exit. I thought he'd be better off. No. I don't say it harshly. I say it the way you state a number that doesn't balance. You thought you'd be better off. And you convinced yourself that was the same thing. He ashes the cigarette on the porch railing. His hands are shaking. I notice because for the first time his hands look like Dad's. I'm not going to pay your debt. I tell him that's not my job. But I know a financial counselor. Someone who works with people in your situation. I can send you her name. He stares at the lake. The rest is yours to figure out. He finishes the cigarette. Grinds it against the railing. Stands up. I'm sorry, Lauren. I believe him. In this exact moment, standing on the porch of the house he tried to sell, I believe he's sorry. Whether that lasts past Nashville is something I can't control. Ethan. He stops at the bottom of the steps. Car keys in hand. You can call Dad. You can visit. The door isn't locked. I keep my voice even. But you will never make a financial decision for him without me knowing. You will never bring paperwork into this house without his attorney reviewing it first. And you will never use his love for me as a reason to take something from him. He turns. His face is hard to read. Anger. Shame. Exhaustion. All of it layered so tight I can't separate one from another. And if I don't agree, then Janet Perkins has a file with your name on it. And the next conversation won't be on a porch. He holds my stare for 3 seconds. Then he looks away. Walks to the rental car. Opens the door. Sits down. I watch the gray sedan back out of the driveway, turn onto the lake road, and disappear behind the treeline. The taillights blink once at the curve. Then nothing. Behind me, the front door opens. Dad stands in the doorway, one hand on the frame. The evening light catches the side of his face, the lines deeper than I remember. The stubble silver now instead of gray. Will he come back? I step up onto the porch. Stand beside him. I don't know, Dad. He nods. Not like he's accepting it, like he's filing it in the place where he keeps the things he can't fix. But the door's not locked, I say. He looks at me. A long look, the kind that holds more than words can carry. Then he goes inside. I hear the kettle click on in the kitchen. The soft thud of a cabinet door. The familiar rhythm of Gerald Holloway making himself a cup of tea in a house that belongs to him. I stay on the porch until the stars come out. 6 months later, Dad is still at the lake house. The arthritis hasn't improved, it won't. His hands shake every morning. His knees swell after long walks. Some days he can't open the pill bottle and has to use the rubber grip tool I hung on a hook by the medicine cabinet. But he cooks oatmeal in the morning. A sandwich at lunch. Whatever Diane brought the day before for dinner. He walks to the lake when the weather allows. He goes to the woodworking group on Saturdays. Last month, he made a cutting board for Tom Fielding's daughter. Walnut and maple, herringbone pattern. Tom said she cried when she saw it. One evening in late May, I stop by after work. The house smells like sawdust and linseed oil. The workshop door is open. Dad is at the bench. The south-facing window catches the last of the daylight, turning the wood shavings gold on the floor. He's holding something small in his palm. Turning it under the light. What are you making? He doesn't answer right away. His thumb moves across the surface of the piece, smoothing an edge, testing the shape by feel. Then he holds it up. It's a bird. Small enough to fit in a closed hand. Carved from a scrap of cherry wood, the grain running lengthwise through the body. The wings are suggested, not detailed, 2 shallow cuts that give the shape just enough lift. The head tilts slightly to one side. Mom liked birds, he says. I remember. He sets the bird on the bench. Places it carefully, the way you'd set down something fragile. Then he puts both hands flat on the maple surface, leans forward and cries. No sound at first. Just his shoulders moving. Then a breath that shudders on the way out. And another. And another. I've seen my father hurt before. I watched him break his thumb on a job site and drive himself to the hospital. I watched him stand at my mother's grave in January rain without an umbrella. I have never seen him cry like this. I'm not crying because of Ethan, he says, his voice broken at the seams. I'm crying because I almost let him take this. He lifts one hand and gestures at the bench. The tools. The window. The lake beyond. I put my hand on his back. I don't say anything. There's nothing to say that the room isn't already saying. We stay like that until the light is gone. I didn't build Dad a house so he could live longer. The arthritis will do what it does. The body will do what bodies do. I built it so he could live like himself. So he could open a door with one hand. And make a bird from a piece of cherry wood. and sit by a lake that doesn't ask him for anything. That's not a gift. That's respect. If you're out there right now taking care of someone, a parent, a grandparent, someone who raised you and can't quite do everything they used to, I want you to hear this. Someone will tell you you're doing too much. Someone will say you're burning out. That there are professionals for this. That you should step back and let someone else handle it. And maybe some of that is true. Maybe you do need help. But if the reason they're telling you to step back is so they can step in and take something, that's not concern. That's positioning. Love isn't about control. It's not about deciding what's best for someone and then building a case until they agree. Love is giving someone the space to live on their own terms. Even when their hands shake. Even when it scares you. Even when it would be easier to take the wheel. My father sits in his workshop every evening. Some nights he carves. Some nights he just sits with a cup of tea and watches the light change over the lake. The bird he made for Mom is on the windowsill now, next to a piece of driftwood he found on the shore. His door has a lever handle. It opens with one hand. 1 second. No resistance. And it's never locked. Ethan called last Sunday. Dad talked to him for 12 minutes. When I asked what they talked about, Dad said nothing important. But he was smiling when he said it. I don't know what happens next. I don't know if Ethan comes back or if Dad's health holds or if the choices I've made are the right ones. But I know this. My father is living in a house that was built for him, not around him. And every morning he opens his own front door. That's enough. That's my story. Take care of your people. And don't forget to take care of yourself.